He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome to Coast View, the show that continues every single day to celebrate the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. You know, I have in the past said things about Facebook that I don't like. Their artificial intelligence, the way that they are changing society, and the way that they've contributed toward, creating political divide in this country. All those things are true. But there's a part of Facebook that I really like. It's the ability to be able to connect with friends and family. And I often use Facebook posts that I do as sort of a way of testing, what's the pulse out there? How are people reacting to the bits and pieces of information. I try to stay away from political posts. From time to time, I'll post something. And at the time that I posted, I don't really understand or haven't really thought through, could this be perceived as political? But believe me, Facebook's really good at letting me know rapidly that it was political, because once, people start weighing in, then the way that the Facebook algorithms work is once there's engagement, even if it's negative engagement, people start getting engaged around that. So they know our likes and our dislikes. And so people start weighing in a negative way about something that I post. Then what Facebook algorithm does is it engages more people who they have found through their gathering of data who might agree with that post. And that's just the way the algorithm works. And then it kind of piques a lot of interest and time goes on. But as a general rule, I love the feedback that I get from Facebook, because it does help me sort of monitor the tone of coastal Mississippi, and it gives me a chance to decide what I want to talk about and what I don't want to talk about. I generally want Coast View to be very positive. Another thing that Facebook does for me is it enables me to stay in touch with friends, long lost friends. If it had not been for Facebook, so many friends that I graduated from college or high school with, or people that I worked with, so many people that I worked with over the many years, I wouldn't have this ability to stay in touch with them and see what's happening in their lives. And, it's interesting because when we're working, we're moving so fast, we don't always get to know the people that we work with the way we probably should. And Facebook has given me a chance to sort of reconnect now that I'm retired. And, that's a good thing. One of those people is a friend named Susan Griggs. Susan actually worked for the Keesler News. The Sun Herald published the Keesler News for many, many years, and she and I got to know each other through that. And she's retired now and enjoying retirement. But I've enjoyed getting to know Susan better through Facebook and seeing where she is these days. She actually helped me get in touch with a really dear friend of ours who lived up in Tennessee. I was up in the Smoky Mountains last year, and I had a wonderful conversation with that long lost friend that she connected me with. And unfortunately, not long after that, he died. And it was kind of divine intervention in a way that Susan and I got to know each other. And then she reconnected me with our friend Perry. And, we had this wonderful visit. But anyway, Susan posted something the other day on Facebook that I thought was really, really good. It was written by Rick Godwin. And here's what it said. One reason people resist change is because they focus on what they have to give up instead of what they have to gain. My question of you is, what do you think about when you are setting goals, or when we're thinking about things you want to change about yourself? Do you think about the things you have to give up, or do you think about the things you have to gain? It's a really interesting kind of thing to focus on. Speaking of social media, one thing is for sure, coming back to that post that I might not have really considered the political ramifications, and then suddenly I get, people are giving me a lot of feedback. What I find, generally speaking, is that people are much more willing to be mean and rude, not necessarily to me, but I'm just saying in conversations that take place on Facebook, when they are in the quietness of their bedroom or, sitting in their living room by themselves, they're willing to say things and do things to other people that they probably wouldn't do if they were in front of them, if they were having to look at them in the eyes and considering the human being that's on the other side of wherever they are when they're literally physically in front of them. A friend of mine, Calvin Ishii, posted this the other day, and I thought this was terrific, and it fits sort of that theme. Show respect even to people who don't deserve it, not as a reflection of their character, but as a reflection of yours. And that was Dave Willis who said that. But I thought that's really powerful, actually. Not as a reflection of their character, but as a reflection of yours. One of the things I learned as a newspaper publisher and being involved in digital media for so many years was I often thought about the action that I'm going to take. Is it okay for it to be the headline on the front page of the paper tomorrow? You know, can what I'm about to say, if it's private or otherwise, would I be okay if whatever that action was the headline in tomorrow's paper? That had a way of kind of changing what I was willing to do and say. And I think if people would reflect on that, it's pretty powerful, actually. And you know, I think sometimes our friends who may go overboard with giving us too much feedback, or maybe giving our friends too much feedback in a negative way, you know, they could use that advice that, you know, when you show respect even to the people who don't deserve it, not as a reflection of their character, but as a reflection of yours, that's good feedback. I think that people should hear that. My friend Stacy Waldrop posted this, again, with the same theme in place. Goodness is about character, integrity, honesty, kindness, generosity, moral courage, and the like. More than anything else, it is about how we treat other people. That was by Dennis Prager who said that. So much good out there. And then my friend Deborah Harrison, who used to live in coastal Mississippi, lives up in North Mississippi now. She posted this. If you can't figure out how to be kind, figure out how to be quiet. That's pretty good. That's really good, actually. And then lastly, I want to share this thing that this is something that Leanne Longwitz, a really good friend of mine. She lives in New Orleans now. She has a place up in Madison as well. She posted this about children, and it's a great reminder of where this desire to want to give back to the community, help us, you know, help our kids become one of the 1,000 points of light. And I thought this was so well said, but this is by Nicole Souter. May we raise children who love the unloved things, the dandelion, the worms, the spiderlings. Children who sense the rose needs the thorn and run into rain-swept days the same way they run toward the sun. And when they're grown up and someone has to speak for those who have no voice, may they draw upon that wilder bond, those days of tending tender things, and be the ones. I love that. Can they be the ones? Can we raise kids to know when there's a role for them to play in the community and a gap to fill? So much there. Anyway, now let's move over to my friend Paige Roberts. She's the executive director of the Jackson County Chamber of Commerce and a really dear friend. And Paige, how are you doing this morning?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well. It's nice to kick off the week with you, Ricky, and all of those thoughts you just shared.
You know, I try to share a positive thought every day, and I saw that they were kind of stacking up. What I do is when I come across them, I'll do a screen grab of them and say I'll share it on the next show. But then the next show becomes this meaty something, and I don't have a chance to really go back to my notes to share them. But there's a lot of advice there, a lot of good advice. You probably had the same love-hate relationship that I do with Facebook. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. I think as a former journalist, we can't help it because when I was in journalism school, the number one rule was accuracy. If your writing wasn't accurate, there was no use in anything else about it because accuracy came first. And we even studied the triangle method where you had to have 3 independent sources confirming the same fact before you could report it. So unfortunately, we've fallen quite from grace there. But I wanted to tell a quick story about Facebook because I do love all the things about Facebook that you mentioned. And I even have some close family friends. The young man was adopted from a Turkish orphanage about 30 years ago, and his biological mother found him through Facebook. his father was well known, and she was able to find him through Facebook and still had the bracelet that the adoptive parents had given to her when they adopted her 2 kids. Doesn't speak English, had to do the Turkish translation, but Facebook reunited this biological mother they thought had died, and now she has a relationship with her son. Isn't that amazing?
It is. It is a great story. It is a great story. I wish, to reflect a little bit about some of the statements that I read at the beginning about how we treat each other. It is true, though, that people are willing to say things to another person in the world of Facebook that they probably wouldn't say to them if they had to look at them.
No doubt. It's sad. And it's it's evil. I mean, the way that people, it takes the face out of it. Actually, it takes the humanity out of the communication. And when you remove the humanity from the sender and the receiver, then you end up with very hateful speech. And
there's no doubt.
Very
so we'll
unfortunate.
Come back a little bit more about Facebook as it relates to the vaccine, and then we'll shift gears to what's going on in the chamber world these days. We'll be back with Paige Roberts after this break.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. I hope you're doing well this morning, and we're reflecting on lots of different things with Paige Roberts this morning. She's the executive director of the Jackson County Chamber, a great friend of Coast View, and we were talking about Facebook. And before we leave Facebook, because I want to share with you that as it relates to vaccines in America, 93 million people now have been over 93 million people have been vaccinated. And that's roughly 36% of the adult population in America have gotten at least the first dose of the vaccine. And, as we begin this, there's a fine line here between the vaccine and where we are in terms of giving the vaccine and getting the vaccine. I get my second shot this week. There's a fine line between seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and moving toward that light a little bit too fast, which may be happening in some communities because we're seeing a slight uptick in the number of cases per day. So that's a great reminder that we've got to get vaccine in people's arms. We really need to do that. That's the quickest way to get to, our post-pandemic life is going to be. And the other thing that Dr. Conger pointed out, and Lee Bond as well, Dr. Conger, the infectious disease doctor from Memorial, and Lee Bond, the president of Singing River Hospitals, is that one of the main reasons to get the vaccine is that we have to, in order for there to be different strains of coronavirus, in order for there to be, these mutations, there has to be a host. And if you've been vaccinated, it's not easy to be a host. So we have to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. So coming back to you, Paige, one of the things that amazes me is, again, coming back to Facebook, they don't necessarily look to see if someone's post is true or not. So someone posted a post on Facebook that said the vaccine is poisonous. That was the post, and it was left up there by Facebook. And then you should see the way people weighed in. Now, here's, again, the way the artificial intelligence works is when there starts to be peaked engagement, even if it's over fake news, then the people who the artificial intelligence believe would be engaged in that conversation, then suddenly this appears in their news feeds. And suddenly we have a lot of people who agree with each other. And Facebook is making it appear to each person involved in this conversation that everyone else agrees with them. So they must be right. And I went down the comments here, and I couldn't find a single person who disagreed with the statement that the vaccine is poisonous. It's truly remarkable. I've got all the comments here. I could read them to you, but just say no to the jab. Some people would say, why aren't all medical professionals getting the coronavirus if it's so bad? I don't know what that's all about. So check this one out. Giggling about the vaccination. Change your 99.96% survival rate to 99.7%. They got you so scared. It's really a shame. And on and on and on. That's a problem. The reality is the vaccine is not poisonous, and it's the fastest way for us to get to our post-pandemic life. And for anyone who doesn't get the vaccine, you could become sort of a site for there to be a mutation. This is really important. What do you say to that, Paige?
Well, I say I'm getting my second vaccine in a week, and I'm no scientist, but I believe this is the way to herd mentality. And it's not any different than when I get my flu vaccine every year. I have my children vaccinated. It's a public service act. And for people to not educate themselves about it before pontificating about it is irresponsible. But, I can say that about more than just the vaccine on Facebook, as you said. When you were talking earlier about the headline test, I have a dear friend, Jim Brooks, passed away a couple years ago, but he would say all the time about ethics, about what you do and why you do it. Would it pass the headline test? Would doing this lead to a headline that was good or bad? And that's how he would, one of the components he would use to make decisions.
Yeah.
And people aren't critically thinking. Most people aren't critically thinking. They're just reacting and oblivious to what facts actually are.
So let's switch gears and get back to the chamber and the business of the chamber. One of the things, Paige, that I really have enjoyed about our conversations, our multiple conversations during the pandemic, is that you and I always, get back to this point of the role the chamber has played as a conduit for really critical information. Now, it may be that you're just listening to the business and that they just need someone to talk to during these difficult times, or maybe that you're providing them information that literally could save their business. And you've made no difference to whether they're a chamber member or not. You've just been there as this conduit in the community. What's the latest? Let's take restaurants, for example. What's your thoughts about how restaurants are doing and what the latest is there?
All last week, this was on my radar. I go out to eat a lot, and everywhere I went, there were either signs that a restaurant was going to be closed for a mealtime they wouldn't usually have been, or they were closed the whole day. And it was all about staffing. I mean, honestly, every day last week I ran into this or heard about this happening to a restaurant somewhere on the coast. And then I saw your Facebook post this weekend about your brother-in-law's restaurant in Nashville. And I've actually been on the phone with 3 people. I have a 4th person to call today about what are some possible solutions to finding the people who are willing to work, who are not currently working, who would fit into that mold. I think I know why the people who aren't showing up, but that's not what I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is the restaurants who are finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel as far as people being able to dine at their restaurants, and now they don't have the workers. I mean, it's so unfair and unnecessary that is on my radar of trying to piece together, is there something we can do to be a part of this solution?
Yeah, and again, we can ponder all day long that the recovery efforts by the federal government have, in some cases, literally incented people to stay home. But to ponder that, it doesn't fix the problem. That's the point that you're making. And my brother-in-law, I mean, you saw what happened at Caney Fork in Nashville. They right across from Opryland, and they literally had to shut down on a Sunday night because it takes 6 workers to run the kitchen. And it was my nephew and one other cook, and finally they just said they had to shut the restaurant down. It's a huge restaurant, and they're usually packed with people, and this is a real problem. It's a growing problem in coastal Mississippi. What's the answer, Paige? How can we get them the workers they need?
Well, I have targeted some groups that deal with teenagers who might be available. There are certain populations who are the go-to. I'm told I've reached out to some staffing companies. I'm working to identify where those people might be who would come to work, who would work at a restaurant, while at the same time, trying to find out from the restaurants exactly what the gap is that needs to be. Is it simply just showing up to work? And if that's the case, and we find you people, will you be loyal to these people after we get them there? I mean, so there's a lot. Anytime you're solving a societal issue or challenge, you have to look at a lot of levels.
And what about, okay, we're going to getting close to the end. I want to make sure we cover the rest of these points that we have. But what about the retirement community? Is there a way maybe to tap into that?
That's an idea. That's absolutely that could very well be. And a lot of the senior centers had been closed, and so they do need things to do. And a lot of them are workers. I mean, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for workers. And And back to what you were saying about vaccines and the chamber and Lee Bond, it reminds me I owe him a call because he suggested the chamber work with its members about getting a vaccine location for our members to get vaccinated there, the ones who haven't. And so it is a perfect connection. The chamber is a great community connector.
Well, we got to talk more about this challenge, and I commit that I will talk more about it, and that people who, may be looking for a job and an opportunity, this may be a chance to do that, and maybe the retirement community is a way to do that. But I'll bring some restaurateurs on and have deep conversations about how deep is this problem, and what are some of the possible solutions so people can learn. Hey, we can talk about the career coach program at the high schools the next time we get together.
Sure. No, that was just a list of things.
Make a pitch, though, and in the 1 minute we have left, why people should be involved in city elections.
There are some great projects and programs going on in the cities, and you need to look very closely at your candidates and see who the critical thinkers are, who has the plan, who can collaborate. I just think being an educated voter is the way that we keep the city's momentum that we're experiencing moving forward. It doesn't mean you have to vote for an incumbent, but it does mean you need to vote for the critical thinkers.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. And elections happening all across coastal Mississippi, a lot of forums going on, a lot of people wanting to be involved in the process. And I congratulate them for that. But who's the best? Who's the best part? Critical thinking is a really important skill set, and this is not an easy job. I don't care if you're a council person or a mayor or whatever. But anyway, Paige, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. You're a good person and such a committed leader in the community. I look forward to staying in touch with you.
Thanks, Ricky.
You bet. Take care. Have a great day. And we'll see.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm. 106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, casinoradio1063.com.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. We got to talk Jimmy Buffett.
One day at breakfast, he says, I started a new song. He says, about a night and a day in Key West, I played a bar and I got drunk, and coming home, I stepped out of my flip-flop, and I just kept going. I stepped on a beer can. And the next morning, I'm up, and I'm hungover, and I'm trying to make a margarita. I got some shrimp boiling. I can't find the salt. I said, Jimmy, I kind of like this. And he said, yeah, I think I'll call it Margaritaville.
In a Mississippi Minute.
Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on your local SuperTalk Mississippi station, and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive, fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On Super Talk, Mississippi.
Super Talk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi.
He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast View with Ricky Mathews on Super Talk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. I really enjoyed my conversation with Anthony Wilson. He's such a dedicated leader here in coastal Mississippi, and it's because of people like Anthony and John Hairston and others that we're able to constantly raise the bar and make sure that we're taking advantage of every opportunity in this community to build a better community. One of the things that I'm most proud of is that I take every opportunity I can to celebrate first responders. And I came across something the other day I just want to share with you, and it's I don't know what the source is, honestly, but it touched me, and it's from a proud police wife is the name of this, and here's what it says. My heart belongs to a police officer. I'm the girl always checking her phone. I'm the girl that will sacrifice a normal relationship because she loves a man who risks his life daily, works all hours, even holidays. Even when he's off duty, he's on duty. People hate him, and by association hate me. I'm not the only one that needs him. His whole jurisdiction needs him. I'm the girl that swells with pride when she sees her man in uniform walking through the front door after a long day at work. I'm the girl that double takes and triple takes when a police cruiser goes by. I'm the girl that closes her eyes and sends up a prayer to protect the man who protects many. I'm the proud woman behind the man behind the badge. I thought that was just terrific. And when it comes to that one line, incidentally, that says, people hate him and by association hate me. That may be true, but I would actually modify that here in coastal Mississippi that some people may hate him. Because the truth is, here in coastal Mississippi, we have a really good relationship between the community and our police departments. There's always going to be an exception to the rule from time to time. But as a general rule, we have incredible relationships with our police community here in coastal Mississippi. And one of the reasons we've got great leaders here. And one of them is my friend, the police chief of Biloxi, John Miller. John, did you, you heard what I read. And it is unfortunate that some people could hate a police officer. That's sad to think that, but it's true. There are a lot of people who stand behind a police officer with immense pride and support, isn't there?
There is, Ricky. There truly is, especially, and you made the point, where we live here coastal Mississippi, we have a good relationship with the community. It's not always perfect, and I'm sure there are some here that don't care for police officers for a multitude of reasons. But generally speaking, and what she said, that in other parts of the country may be very prevalent. Here, we don't have that. We enjoy a good relationship.
Yeah, you made the point when you and I last visited that your profession may be the only profession where something that happens 1,000, 2,000 miles away, a single event, could be projected on an entire force. Here, in your case, Biloxi. It's very unfortunate that that is the case, but I think the way you overcome that, and you talked about this in great detail the last time we talked, is the efforts that you take to constantly work on communicating with the community. That's really important to you, isn't it?
Well, it really is, and I think it's important to. I know the sheriffs and the chiefs, in South Mississippi, really all over Mississippi. That's an issue that has been discussed and rediscussed among law enforcement. We've changed some of the way we do things. Try not to be so matter of fact and try to relate with the community. And I'm doing community efforts to get out in the community and let people see, who we are and what we really. It's a profession in that it's misunderstood. I constantly get questions when I'm speaking different places about why do police officers do this or why did you do that? And most of the time, to me, I know immediately, that well, this is the reason we did it. But just to folks on the outside looking at what we do is confusing, and they don't understand the procedures that we put in to keep not only officers safe but the community safe. So it is a confusing business that we have.
Yeah, I know it can be challenging at times. Hearing you talk reminds me that the last time you and I talked, I actually described your leadership style in the face of challenge as calm and measured. And for people who are watching this on Facebook or YouTube or listening on 103.1 or on a podcast, they can appreciate that we need leaders like you who are involved. And, you didn't get there overnight. You worked really hard. You had a nearly 30-year career. Maybe now you've surpassed 30-year career at the Biloxi Police Department where you kind of worked your way up. And you probably, I was talking to Anthony Wilson about this in the last segment, but, I had the opportunity to grow up here and become publisher of the Sun Herald, and he had an opportunity to grow up in D'Iberville and become president of the power company. And, you had this long career in the Biloxi Police Department and became the police chief. That probably gives you immense pride, doesn't it?
It does. It does. I'm proud that I feel like a lot of the community have confidence in me, and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of the men and women that serve with us. We've worked very hard, like the other law enforcement agencies along the coast. We worked very hard to kind of weed out that old way of thinking, and along with that went probably some people that could not adjust to the thing. You hear people say things like, he's old school. That's an old time policeman. Well, I think probably in the 80s and 90s, we kind of got away from really the old school policing. And I like to view it as we're kind of back to that now, where we're out, we talk to people, we listen to people, and it's not all, well, this is the job, this is how we're going to do, and that's all there is to it. We do take advice from the community and try to do things that we think are going to build those relationships.
I talk about this all the time, that there are certain sectors of, life here in coastal Mississippi that never had the opportunity to stop doing what they do, even in the face of the pandemic. So, you and I talked about this in good detail the last time, but the work you had to do to assimilate your force, to understand how to continue to do their job, and in a way that would make them safe and make the public safe. It's amazing now when you look back on this, that a year has gone by. I mean, a year has gone by and you've been in this mode. It probably just feels like normal operating procedure now, doesn't it?
Well, you know, a lot of it is. We've just adjusted to it like many professions have had to do, but in the profession you find yourself doing that quite a bit. We've adjusted to it. I would like to see some things go back, you know, but and eventually I hope that we get there, you know. But it was very challenging, and it was one of those situations where, you know, you're only going to please half the folks that you serve. You know, half are going to be with you, and half are going to be against you. And not, when I say against you, not, you know, just upset about some of the things they're having to do, mask wearing and things like that. That's, you know, the cops kind of stuck in the middle. You know, we just try that we can do and try to convey to people, you know, that this is what we need to do right now.
So again, in the world of your police department, life never stopped. You had to adjust and do things slightly different, but you still had a budget to manage. You still had policemen to train. A lot of training. You talked about this in great detail the last time we talked. What a police officer has to know to do his job is way different than used to hand a guy a gun and, you know, give him the car and say, go be a policeman. It's way different. You had to recruit, and you had a goal of making the police department even more diverse. So talk a little bit about how life has gone on for you in terms of just doing your day-to-day work.
Sure. Well, you said it, you know, the new things we had to deal with, but the normal operating procedures and the things that we have to normally deal with were never left. They were still there, you know, so we've had to make quite a few adjustments. We've had to do some rethinking and thinking outside the box, like with recruitment. Very difficult to recruit folks right now for police work. I think, I believe that will get better in the near future. We're seeing movement there now, but that's been an obstacle that's been very difficult to overcome, and that's not just here on the coast. That is throughout the police work has become one of those things that's just not desirable. But we have seen some improvements there and some changes there. We've seen minorities that are getting on board now and want a career in law enforcement. And for a while, that was something that we had to really struggle with. And like with females, you know, it's always been a struggle to hire female law enforcement officers. Here in the last couple of years, that has really turned. We have as many female applicants as we do male applicants now, black, white, whatever their race. We have as many females as we do males, which is you know, not something that we expected to see.
That's terrific news, and you see that on the street in Biloxi these days. Hey, why don't we do this? We'll continue that part of the conversation, and then we'll move on to some other topics. This is Chief John Miller from the police department in Biloxi, and a good friend to Coast View, and we'll be back after this break.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 Exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
It just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. Norbert, Elvis.
And I want to tell you about Presley. He had two different voices. He would sit and talk to me in a very calm, low voice. And we were at Stack's one night, and we were having lunch. We always had lunch at midnight because he was nocturnal. We sat there and we have our sandwiches, and at 1 o'clock, he looked up. He said, "Hey, Put, come on, it's time for me to go be Elvis." And he stood up, in a much deeper voice, he put on his macho voice. "Hey, fellas, it's 1 o'clock. Let's get cracking, okay?"
In a Mississippi Minute.
Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, Amazon Alexa, and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We have Chief John Miller from the Police Department in Biloxi, someone who, as I mentioned earlier, 30 years of working his way up through the ranks of the Biloxi Police Department, become the chief. And again, I just think he's a terrific leader and again, a good friend to the show. I mean, those numbers you were sharing before we went to the break about the number of women who are involved now, the number of applicants who are women, that is really good news. I know that's something that you really wanted to see. And also the point about minority applications, that's going up is a good thing as well. That's I'm really pleased to see that. And I think it's going to help the police department overall. Don't you agree?
I do. I really do. I know we've got a ways to go. It's still very difficult, but we are seeing improvements. And when I say difficult, we had something like, and I don't remember the exact number, something like 47 nations this past testing. And the way we do that is we do an agility test in the morning, and then we do a written test in the afternoon on the same day. So we try to get everything done on that one day. So we had, like I said, it was 40 some odd applicants. Only 17 showed up after making application. 17 showed up for the test. Out of that 17, when the day was open, we had 6 that had passed everything. Now, out of that 6, we'll have probably, percentages stay the way they have been. We'll have probably 2 or 3 that will not make it because of their background. So it's still very difficult. It's still very difficult. But we're certainly not going to lower our standards to get applicants. But we have seen improvement.
Hey, one of the things we talked about the last time we were on, and you can kind of update us on this, but that you were still dealing with this kind of a high call volume. And I think one of the statistics that you shared is that 70% officer initiated, which we'll explain to people why that's important. But I made the point that even in the neighborhood where I live, I see patrolmen come through more often than I used to. And I know that's a concerted effort on your part to get policemen into the neighborhoods, but talk more about that.
Sure. that 70% fluctuates a little bit depending on, what time of the year it is and what else we have going on, if there's any big events or anything like that. But somewhere between 63 and 70% officer initiated. And, there was some studies back in the 70s that said a direct patrol really had no effect on crime. Well, that was a skewed study. We have proven that over and over and over. We know that if first of all, if the general public just sees police cars, sees officers out, they feel safer. We know that. And we also know that the criminal element tends to move on when they see, when they see a police unit or a police officer, they tend to move on somewhere else. We know that to be a fact. So being visible, being out and seen, we think is an extremely important part of police work. But you need policemen. You need a good many policemen to be able to.
Yeah. Okay. So the economy is starting to open back up again. So you'll start to see events starting to happen again. A spring break that's coming up soon. Does the possibility of people congregating give you heartburn, and what are you doing to think about it and plan around it?
Yeah, we have a standard event that we use for all events. Now we have to adapt that sometimes depending on what the event is, what location that event's going to be in. But we have a standard plan that we have put together many years ago, and then we have tweaked it, yearly. We tweak it, go back, and determine if there's some improvements can be made here or there. But the plan overall works very well. The problem this year is that spring break has split. And so we're going to have, I think probably what we'll end up seeing are 2 spring breaks this year. We're going to have one in April and then another spring break. And this is kind of the original spring break is scheduled for in August. The hub has always been the Coliseum. And the Coliseum, since the first spring break, the original spring break, decided to do theirs in August, then the Coliseum naturally, that's when spring break is going to be. But we have some smaller promoters that are promoting spring break in April. So it's going to be very difficult for us, and it's going to be an overtime nightmare. It's going to burn a lot of our overtime to try to do both of these spring breaks. But they're neither one are city sanctioned. They're just both spring, like a lot of events, but they're just both going to be here, and we're going to deal with them. As far as large crowds, it does give me a little bit of heartburn right now, because I think we've got this COVID thing. I think we're on the downhill slide on this COVID thing. I'm certainly not an expert, but it appears that way. We're getting a lot of people vaccinated, which makes us feel good. So I would hate to have tons of people that could go back to what they could. So I would hate to have Biloxi. So we will do our best to make sure that the crowds are small and that they are socially distanced, and certainly we would like them to still wear masks.
Yeah. Well, we'll hope that is the case, and we'll face this with various events as we go forward. What's the best way to move forward in a safe way? And we all covet the light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully, we'll get there sooner than later. But John Miller, Chief Police for the City of Biloxi, thanks for visiting with me this morning.
Man, it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You bet, buddy. And take care. We'll see you tomorrow.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.